All right. We are live. Welcome back to the Healthy Funnel podcast. I've been calling it the Healthy Funnel radio show lately. I'm just mixing it up. I'm weird. So
I
sometimes
like
you
it.
just got to try new things. I'm super excited. We have one of my favorite guests in the world. We have the one and only Shanté Cofield, the Instagram expert, the movement maestro. She has built an entire business doing coaching, consulting, course creation on the back end of growing an incredible Instagram channel. Shanté, I could not be more excited to reintroduce you to our followers, to the people that like us. Thank you so much for taking time to be on the show.
Dude, Will, honored, humbled, grateful, just stoked to be on here. Like, speaking with you, it's one of my favorite things is we just are on the same wavelength. So thank you for all that you do. And thank you for inviting me along this little journey.
I am super excited. Chris, thanks for hopping on. Cindy, thanks for hopping on. If you're listening to this on the podcast, just keep driving or focusing on work. Don't worry about typing anything. We're super, super excited. Shanté, I'm so pumped. Last time that you and I talked, we talked a lot about like your story, your journey. And I think that's, it was so cool. I got to learn so much about you. And this time, like, I'm so excited. We get to dive into like your secret sauce, the stuff that you're working on every single day. For people that don't know you, I just want to break down a little bit. Shanté has an incredible Instagram. I don't even know what we call it, handle, channel at this point. Like,
I know, what are they called?
Page?
I literally have the same issue. I'm like, my wall, right on my page, right on my, I'm like, just find me on Instagram. I totally agree.
She, at this point, she might as well be like a co-owner of Instagram. She's got an incredible Instagram presence. She has something ridiculous, like 58 some thousand people who follow her. She's been building Instagram for years. And if you ended up catching last time we talked with Shanté, she had a commitment of, was it 1,000 straight days?
Yeah, I ended up doing 1,000 straight days of posts, and that really jump-started, it's that overnight success that jump-started the community that's there now.
I don't know if you guys caught that. That was the most subtle overnight success 1,000-day project of all time. I don't know how many people do anything for other than drink water and sleep and probably go to the bathroom. I can't think of anything I've done for 1,000 straight days. Shanté, that's absolutely amazing. So you've mastered, I know you're humble, so you probably won't be the one to say you've mastered this platform, but for the most of us, you have mastered this platform. You've done incredibly well with building an audience and then building what has turned into coaching and courses for the audience that you've been following. And I would love to dive in. First off, did you ever imagine that when you started Instagram, you would have all these people who want to learn from you?
No way. No way. And I think that's actually one of the things that's helped me out the most is because, I started, so I'm actually coming up on my 6-year anniversary. My first post was September 24th, 2014. So it's coming up soon.
What?
No, right? Wild. It goes by, again, overnight success. When I started it, I just wanted to connect with people. I wanted to put my ideas out there. At the time, Kelly Starrett was really big. Wad Doc was really, Tim Szymanski was really big. And I saw them doing stuff and I was like, cool, I'm going to try this. And it wasn't about building a business. It wasn't about monetizing it at all. It was literally like, hey, I want to share my ideas. I want to put my ideas out there. I want to connect with people. And I feel that gave me a leg up as compared to people that are starting now who have examples of people using these platforms, us, you and me, using these platforms to monetize. And so they have this like benchmark almost that they compare themselves to, and everyone's comparing their chapter 1 or their like preface to our chapter 8, 9, 10. And they're like, but I'm not there. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in 1 month. I showed up for a day. But I didn't have that. It was just like, oh, no one else is really doing this. This is cool. These 2 people are doing it. Let me try it. And you and I were talking about this before we hopped on. I'm incredibly grateful for what it's become and this free platform that has literally changed my life. But I definitely didn't go in thinking like, oh, it's going to be this thing. No way.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be really curious because I think that's such a great point. And now that you coach people, I'm sure, right? It's people come to you with an intention at this point versus
Absolutely.
where, and let's just say a business intention. Whereas when you started, right? And just like me too, when I started, it was just, I needed a creative outlet. I needed something new. I needed something different. I didn't have any type of tangible like expectations. But now people come to you, Shanté, and they're like, hey, I really want to try to make a go of this. How do you help someone through that? Because you're right.
For
We came from a
sure.
different
For
expectation,
sure.
but then there's also like, hey, that's what you want. I'm not just going to ignore that that's what you want.
Totally.
how do you help someone who comes in, like, how do you help them with their mindset of viewing this platform? Because like you talked about, it's not an overnight success kind of thing.
No,
So how
not
do
at
you help them
all.
with their mindset as they come into this sort of platform?
For sure. I think it is a skill set that's carried over from physical therapy, which is expectation management or managing expectations. And in the beginning, yeah, you want to promise the world to people, but you also, as PTs in general, we have a lot of integrity. Like we go into this field to help people. No one goes in it to make $1 million. And if you did, somebody lied to you, right? You go in there to just help people, and you know that's you're like, this is going to take a long time. And so we try to sell it in the beginning and massage that. And then at some point with PT, you just start being super real, and you're like, yo, you have SI joint pain, give yourself a year. It'll get better, but this is going to take a long time. You don't have to be working with me the whole time, but understand, like, it's not going to go away overnight. Or, oh, you've had back pain for 47 years. Guess what? It's going to take more than 3 times a week for 6 to 8 weeks. That's just the reality of it. So when people come in, I do these discovery calls, or whatever you want to call, folks want to call them. First thing I lay out is expectation management. And I tell people, give yourself at least 18 months. It takes that long. And this is also why I don't work with certain demographics, or why I've kind of stratified my offerings, in that we know, like, again, from rehab, like, the very beginning is important. And then, like, in the middle, they just have to, like, keep doing it. Like, when you're trying to get stronger, like, you just have to keep doing it. If you want someone to hold you accountable, awesome. But also, like, you just have to keep doing it. So let's say someone came from rehab, they just had surgery. That initial month, and Mike Stella just did a post about this. That initial month is very critical. Like, get them going in the right track. And then it's like, all right, do all your stuff. And then when you're ready for the next level, okay, now we can bring someone back in. That's also how I coach. So I set up things where when you're just getting started, I will either coach you one-on-one, or you can join one of my offerings. I don't love to hold people's hand in the middle of things, because I'm like, you just have to keep doing this. I've never been good with being that accountability partner, because I'm just like, just go do it. So I will absolutely refer out and be like, these are, I have friends, Will was one of them, that will work with you for 6 months. We'll work with you for a year. I don't like that middle time. So here's what I'm going to help you with. Give yourself 18 months, and then we can meet up again. My Instagram intensive is only 6 weeks long. And I tell them this every single time we meet. This is going to take 18 months. I'm only making this 6 weeks long so that you don't get bored of me, right? It's enough that fills the information, fills the time. And then you just have to rinse and repeat and refine for 18 months, and it will gain traction that way. So I think it's really a big carryover from PT of expectation management. And also, you and I had talked about this before. I personally do not like the burn the ships method, unless your new ships are already like 75% built and they're going to get completed. Because when people put all of their needs in and desires, not even hopes, but their need, like, I need to pay my bills. And when they put all of that on this new endeavor, it doesn't work out well, because their viewers, their listeners, their new audience can feel that urgency, and people don't really like that. So if you want to burn the ships, okay. But I personally will only coach people who have their new ships already mostly built. So they have that safety net in place. And then we can be like, all right, now we're ready to jump. And I need to do that, in order to push myself forward a bit more.
Yeah. That's so important. I think, so first off, anyone, if you're tuning in, and just for a little bit of context, in case you haven't heard Shanté before, she is a physical therapist that got started in the physical therapy world, started making an Instagram, ended up working for a really cool company called Rock Tape. If you're not familiar with them, you've probably seen one of their, like, some type of branding. If you've ever been in like a rock climbing gym or a clinic or any kind of place, you might see some of their tape. She was doing teaching, and then people started asking her, especially in the rehab world, in the personal training, fitness, rehab world. Is it safe to say?
Yeah,
Okay, all
I
that.
call them movement space. Yeah.
Movement space. That's right. If you're in the movement space, obviously Shanté's the movement maestro. If you're in the movement space, she helps coach you through building your business with Instagram. Just for context sake, I feel totally bad I didn't say it in the beginning. So hopefully people are catching up. Shanté, that's what she's done. And now she's helping people build their businesses, which is what most people in this group in our podcast are, like, coaches, course creators trying to grow their businesses. And I think what's really interesting, Shanté, is how did you come up with your very first sort of offer as you're going through this? Because you went from
Yeah.
a space of like, I help people with movement issues to
Mhm.
like, wait, you want to grow your business doing what I'm doing with Instagram. And so this was like created almost for you. Not, I would say create for you, but like the demand came to you and the
Absolutely.
question sure came to you. You're sitting there, right?
Absolutely.
How do you create your first offer? How did that come about for business type coaching?
So I am a big fan of Simon Sinek's in general, but also his quote of "Don't find an audience for your product, find a product for your audience." I had an audience, and they had a problem that they started asking me about, and I was like, "I will help you with a solution." It's PT 101 again. People come to you and they're like, "This hurts," and you're like, well, "Let's try and figure it out. If I can't help you, I refer you to over there." So initially, the problem I was helping them with and what I used to build a lot of trust was showing up in the movement capacity. And really, the language I use attracted other providers. So, as a marketer, you know this. You're going to attract what you are and how you speak, not necessarily what you want. And so I was just speaking my own language, and that inherently attracted other providers. I thought initially I wanted CrossFitters. Thank goodness they didn't pick me, but thought I wanted them and was not speaking their language. So I built this community by showing up consistently. They go back to that 1,000 days thing. And then in terms of offering, it became, again, giving stuff for free, which was I would go and teach my movement courses. I go and teach rock tape courses, and people at some point started requesting that I would teach them. So they reach out to me and they're like, "Can you come and teach at my facility?" Like, "Oh, sure." And 9.9 times out of 10, when somebody requested me, they'd ask to go out to dinner and they would be like, "I kind of want to leave my job. How can I do this?" And so you start just having these discussions and you hear the same thing over and over again. And you start to be like, "All right, how can I help? Is it that I can start offering these sessions that I basically am doing for free over dinner, but I can do them virtually?" Yeah, absolutely. So there's a service right there. Like, are you having, difficulty deciding what you want to do as next steps? And one of the things that was helpful for me is that using social media and stories came about during this time because we didn't always have stories, right? So stories came about and people could see how I was living my life. And that is really what people wanted. They were like, "I want to do what you do." And I was like, "No, you don't. You want the happiness that you see that I have, and you want someone to help you, to tell you you're not going to die, or help you create it." And that's really where I started off with having these one-off sessions with people. And then as I went, learning my no and learning like, "Oh, I don't like doing that," or "Actually, I'm not good at that. Like, I can't help you open a brick and mortar. Like, I don't know. I never did that. I rented space always."
Yeah.
But initially, like, yeah, maybe you do have that client that you work with for one session and you're just like, "Actually, here's a better fit. Let me put you in that direction." So the first thing that I offered was those just one-off sessions. And it was just like PT, where it's like a one session. Let's see if there's a good fit. Yeah. Okay, cool. Then we can keep doing this. Or like, "No, this isn't the best fit. Let's refer you somewhere else." Or, "Oh, all you needed was one," which
Yeah.
sometimes people need. I think that we don't realize that in PT. Like sometimes people just need a consult. That's it. And then they can go in a different direction. They can figure out if they need more. So that's what I did for people kind of in the more of the business space. And it's just been more and more refined or refining itself and being like, oh, and this is what I think most coaches do is we just help people with what we've done because that's our
Yeah.
expertise. Right? Your
Yeah.
experience becomes your expertise. And it's like, yeah, I can help you do things the way that I did them. Grow a community, use Instagram to grow this community, start using email marketing, and then deliver your services, typically, a course or, showing up for webinars and things like that. Cause that's what I did and what I do.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. So something that jumped out to me from that is you didn't try to go chase or learn something new to like suit the people who are coming to you with like, "Oh, I want to open up a brick and mortar." I think what's so cool about you, Shanté, and I just see this from time to time. I think what's amazing about you, and it's probably just a natural, maybe a natural thing of like, I never get the sense of like desperation of like trying
Exactly.
to like cling to something. It's like, hey, your lane, like your role, and it's a great one, and you do it so well that it's like, I'm not afraid of like letting you go if this isn't a
Mm-hmm.
fit. Because the people who are like, you have that abundance mentality where it's like, if you're
Yeah,
fit, you're fit. Like this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna like probably ride together for like a long
that's
time
it.
if that's what we need. I think it's really cool. I think it's really hard for coaches in the beginning, especially, right?
Oh, yeah,
Somebody who's a course creator and you're just like, no, plug in, like I'll try to find a way to squeeze you in.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that comes from, again, not burning the ships. Like I was making money other ways. Like when I first left my PT job, I had gotten the rock tape job. And I was like, I also had the self-confidence to be like, I'm going to figure this out. Like I knew I wouldn't make $1, but I wasn't sure how many dollars I was going to make. But I was like, I'll be able to figure this out. So like I left my full-time gig, but I had also started treating out of my CrossFit box. I also then had a space lined up in Midtown. I was in the city at the time, in Midtown and also in the financial district because I had friends. I was 5 years out by this time. I had friends that had opened up their own practices and they were like, you can rent space here. So I had other things in place so that it didn't force me to be thirsty because I was like, yo, I can still eat and drink. Like, it's okay. And like, you know, like you said, you nailed it. Like people can feel that when you're like, oh, I need this thing. Like at the end of the day, people feel that. So I never felt the need to go and learn something I wasn't interested in. There's something that I wasn't interested in because I could pay my bills another way. I had the teaching. And so like, yeah, you have to then, was I in a great position? Yes. I never wanted kids. I don't have kids now. So I had a lot more free time to be able to do stuff. So it's the way I structured my life to be. So I wasn't forced to go and like learn these things so that I could then accommodate these people. I think about it with PT. Like I never wanted to learn like true neuro, like CVAs and TBIs and stuff. I was like, I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do peds. And I get it. We have to learn about it in school so you can take the boards. But I was like, if this person comes in, like they would come into the ortho place and I'd be like, I don't want that patient. I don't want to do it. Like, I think it's a big, PT school does us a disservice in trying to make us think that like everyone needs PT, everyone can benefit from PT, or like you have to be the person to deliver this. Like if you want to be the thumb guy, be the thumb guy. That's awesome. And then but send someone else over there. Like, yeah, understand how it's all connected. This way you can refer out and you know it's like other provider is good, but I was like, this is what I want to be doing. I want to be doing outpatient ortho. I don't want to be working with kids. I don't like that demographic. It's not for me. So I did the same thing with business. It was like, I don't want to go and learn those things. And I love what you do, Will, leading by example in your collaboration and that you have a business partner. I think that it is something so valuable for people to look at and understand that as you're growing and as your business grows, at some point, what may make more sense is to start working with somebody else who fills those gaps. Like I'm not a systems person. Like I'm not good at that. Yeah. I'm not good at being like, this is this verse and this verse. I'm like, yo, make your audience fall in love with you. And then you can do any order you want, but that's not helpful for everybody. Right. And so for me, it's like, all right, let me see who I can partner with so that they have that skill set and I have this skill set and we can work together. Because sometimes when it comes to clients, and you know this, maybe their problem isn't necessarily 100% what you're great at, but the values and their ultimate goal is like something that you can help them with and that you two would resonate, you know, and connect on. And so it's like, this would be a good fit if I could fill it in with this. Yeah. At that time, I think it's like, yeah, here's how my business will grow. And I'm partnering right now with Jill Coleman. And it's a great match because she's like, you know, digital business queen and really good with strategy. And I'm really good on this side of like, let me really make this into a community, into a family and build the trust. So like together we can fill in these gaps for each other and then show up in the way that we want. And I think you were a perfect example of that, of doing that and how a business can grow in that capacity after perhaps you've like grown yourself and you're like, but what can become next? Let's fill in the gaps with somebody else instead of me going and like trying to learn systems and I hate them. I don't like it.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, I'm right. Like, I think it's so, yeah, it's so true. And I'm so glad you brought that up. It's just something that, yeah, I think it takes a lot of self-awareness, like as a coach, right? Because you have something successful on your own and you could easily be tempted to just let ego take over and be like, yeah, that's my show. And like, but hey, you also know that, you know, if you have the self-awareness that there are ways that you can improve, it makes a ton of sense. And it's, we both know the entrepreneurship game can be lonely. It's always nice to have somebody else who, whether that's, let's be honest, event day where it's like, I just got to vent to somebody about like what just happened today, or like to celebrate with someone, right? There's nothing worse than like something amazing happening and you're just like, cheer.
Like, just me. Cheers myself, I guess.
Yeah, cool. Here's the mirror. What do we do? Yeah, like, cool. Like you can't, it's super powerful. But I want to make sure we dive in because I would be remiss to not have the Instagram like maestro here and not ask some questions
Okay.
about Instagram, about your jam. You are like the queen of Instagram plus email marketing together to grow your community, your tribe. And we've got a lot of people, I'm sure, who have Instagrams who are like, I can just guarantee right now we have classic dabblers, right?
Yeah.
We got all the like, oh, I spend some time on Facebook and then I post stuff on Instagram, or I'm working on my YouTube. And it's like, you have been an incredible example of focus. You've
Yeah.
been focused on Instagram. It is 2020, soon to be 2021, assuming we make it to 2021. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we make it. Is Instagram, let's start with a simple question. Is Instagram still one of the best places to focus your energy to build an online community?
Absolutely. It absolutely is. It's not going anywhere. People kind of talk about that. Like Zuckerberg ain't letting that go anywhere. Like, don't forget, folks, Instagram is owned by Facebook. So unless they get rid of everything, which I don't see that happening, like it's not going anywhere. So yeah, it's been around for a long time, but it is not going anywhere. And it is one of the best platforms, I think, to grow a community because, or let me take it back a step. Depending on what your avatar, your people, how they like to consume information and how you like to disseminate information. One of the things I see with people is that they don't respect the parameters of platforms, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or podcast or YouTube or newsletter. They all of these different platforms cater to different learning styles, right? So in my mind, in my opinion, Instagram caters to the learner, the consumer that likes to read their information and likes to
Wait, what?
see, right? People do
Instagram for
read.
reading? Get
Yeah,
out.
people do read. Yeah, believe it or not, they will read it, but they want to see it first and be entertained, right? People do not want to watch a 10-minute long video on Instagram. Yes, IGTV exists. It's on there because they're trying to keep up with YouTube. I kind of like Instagram, just stay in your lane, focus on your shit. But they don't listen to me when I say stuff. So on Instagram, we have the user that really likes to consume content via quick hitters, via visual, quick hitters, whether it's a video, or picture or text. If we go to Twitter, then right, it's all reading there. If we go to TikTok, right, it is more audio. The sound is automatically on TikTok. The audience that likes TikTok is very similar to the audience that likes YouTube. Again, they're audio learners. Like, yeah, they want that nice visual component. It's fun and entertaining, but like they're willing to sit. When I go and watch a tutorial, I hate watching them. I'm like, you could write these steps out. Don't give me a video. Like I use YouTube to like, I got to fix this thing. I want to mount this thing. And I'm like, this video is so long. Just like list it out for me. I don't need to hear all of this stuff. So you think about that, that is the way that people, consume information. If you personally like to consume information in one of those ways, you may find that it's easier for you on one of those platforms. This is also why, and I know you didn't really ask this, but this is also why I believe that everyone should have some sort of social media, a podcast, and a newsletter, because you are hitting different learning styles. I don't think that there's that much overlap, quite frankly, between, like, I have an audience on that haven't, is subscribed to my newsletter. I have a podcast and I have Instagram. I don't think there's as much overlap as we think. I think people may follow you on all of them, but they really primarily consume your content on one thing more than the other because they have different learning styles. So it's okay I love that you repurpose stuff and you put it on different platforms because people like to learn in different ways. I personally believe, and it's been my experience, right, that Instagram is great because it does allow you to have more connection with people and actually foster more community with people than, say, something like Twitter. Right? TikTok's trying, but it's not as easy. Like the direct messaging is kind of weird. The way the algorithm works is kind of weird over there, in my opinion. So I think that Instagram, it is slow growing though. Like you're not going to be like, and I've got 1 million followers overnight. It is slow growing. But I also believe that the longer it takes for something to grow, the harder it is to cut it down. If anyone's done any kind of weed whacking, you know this. Like, it takes a long time. So, yes, to answer the long-winded, answer there is yes, I think it is still a very viable, very good platform. But you hit the nail on the head of the importance of focusing on pick one platform to start off with.
Yeah. I think that's really important that we know, first off, obviously still a super critical platform, and you can build a community. I think I'd love to dive into that, because
Yeah.
I think there's a misconception that like we think of community, that there must be, coming from like weird, guys like me in the Facebook world, where it's like
Hmm.
Facebook group, community, people can talk to one,
Totally.
interact, they can do all these things. Like Instagram, I don't get it, Shantae. How can there be a
Yeah.
community? It's just you, and then people comment. So I'd be really curious, like how does, when we talk about building community on Instagram, because ultimately we know that your audience grows faster the more that you have an actual community, and not just, I'm Shantae, what's up? Like, I'm like,
Yep.
love me, only me. It's like, no, people that love Shantae probably have friends that also would love Shantae, because
Absolutely.
they're friends for a reason, and they want to share, right? That community is how we like, I think about the things I share, right? If I see your stuff, Shantae, I don't share it with my mom, even though she would think it's funny. I share it with people who understand like movement humor. I would be like, you got to see, like, anytime you make PT, like what I expected it would be, like, dude, immediately I'm right to my like PT friends, like, you got to watch this.
For
You'll
sure.
die. So
For
how
sure.
does one like go about actually cultivating community on Instagram through your page, your channel, whatever you want to call it?
Absolutely. So there's a few things, and it's the same, but it's different. And that's why I'm always like, Will, you are the master of Facebook. Like, you folks listening to this, you want to conquer Facebook and Facebook groups. This is the man to do it, the man
Thank
to
you.
learn from. So the difference between Instagram and Facebook is shared values versus shared space, or common values versus common space. So in Facebook, you have both. You're in the common space because you have common values. So you're in a group. In Instagram, it's just a matter of attracting people with common values or shared values. And the way that you're going to do that is by showing up authentically and showing up consistently, posting every day. So these people may not know each other yet, but the goal is that you have shown up so consistently and so authentically, which I kind of hate that that word has become watered down, but you know what I'm saying. You showed up so consistently, so authentically. People already know what you stand for. They know what your brand is. It's true branding, true marketing. They know what to expect from you. And to steal a quote from Seth Godin, people like us do things like this. All right. So people already know then that if someone's commenting on your wall, there's a good chance that they have some sort of shared similarity value, because you've shown up so consistently, so authentically. So while these people may not be in the same um, like physical space, I mean, if I say physical, same digital space, this
Yeah.
digital room,
Yeah.
be able to connect with each other, they ultimately, what ends up happening is they're like, oh, I met this person because they commented, or you reposted them, you shared them, and I went and looked at their profile and I was like, oh, this person's actually amazing. So you build this community of shared values without having that shared physical space. And like you said, it becomes with reposting and sharing and commenting and having these conversations both in the DMs and in the comment section of things. But it's all dependent, which is also the same, Will, from Facebook, on what you do, how you show up. So many people think it's a pass. Nothing is passive. There's no like fishing where it's like you like the old school, like throw the line in and wait for the bobber to go down. Like this is fly fishing. You're always there. You have to be leading from the front, and how you show up in that Facebook group. All right, Will's always up in there. He's doing lives, he's doing videos, he's doing posts, he's asking questions for engagement. No different on Instagram.
I love it. I love it. So with with that in mind, from a tactical standpoint,
Yeah.
Shantae, like you've been mastering so much of this stuff. So let's say someone's starting out. It used to be like, I can remember 4 years ago, maybe when I first got Instagram or opened up Instagram, it was like, you got to know hashtags, you got to learn hashtags. And it was like, that was the way you grow. It's like you master hashtags and and you do that. And now I wonder, like, if you're starting out, do you find that, I guess I'd be really curious, for example, will quality, authentic content always trump tactics like hashtags, like, I don't know, engagement group pods or whatever that exists that people do to try to hack growth?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are there ways that you help people to, because I'm sure you get people come in or like, what's the hack, Shantae? Like,
Yeah.
what's the cheat code, right? Like, how do I get into the cheat
Up,
code to
down,
like,
up, down, left, right.
like, sorry, man, this isn't like Nintendo of like,
Exactly. What's
like
the
how
country
do you
code?
people navigate through that of like, is there I guess I'd be curious, people who, let's say the person who's been doing Instagram maybe for like a year, and they're like, Shantae, I don't know how you did it. Like I'm posting twice a week and like I'm just like not seeing any kind of change or
For
attracting
sure.
people? Is it like, what are your like consultative way of like looking at this? Is it like, hey, are you even using hashtags, or like you're not using the right hashtags, or you're not creating content that's worth sharing? I'm really
That's a
curious
big
how you
one
work
there.
through that. Yeah.
So first I want them to establish the habit. I coach my people to post every day. And people
Wait,
are
just
like,
like exercise?
right? Would you,
What? You can't
would you
work out
believe it?
twice, get in shape, and you're done?
They're like, I did this 2 times and it's not better. And I'm like, well, look at that. I tell them to post every day, not because it's a growth hack, but because it is a way of establishing a habit. And it's a way of starting to see the world in terms of material that you can share. So in the beginning, oftentimes people like, I am, I think you are too, as like a natural creator. I can see things everywhere. I'm like, this is a post, this is a post. I want to share this. Other people aren't like that, which is fine. So you got to become that. And how do you do that? By doing the thing consistently. This way you start looking and you're seeing everything as like, oh, this is something that could benefit someone. This is something that could help someone. This is something I'm good at teaching. Let me share this. So I have them post every day to establish the habit. And then just like anything else, I work on refining the habit. It's no different than with movement and exercise. People get so caught up in like, what's the best exercise? The one that you're actually going to do every day. Start with that. And then we can be like, okay, this is the best way to whatever, grow your calves or whatever it is. My poor calves. I'm talking about them. So skinny. So we start building the habit first, and then we refine that activity. So number one, we're posting every day. And if the person isn't posting every day, I really don't have anything else to say to them besides that, because it's kind of like the person that comes in for health advice and is like, I think I need like hormone therapy. I think I need all of this. And I'm like, do you drink water? Do you sleep? And they're like, no, but I also think I need all these things. They're like, but no. Let's go back to the basics. Are you posting every day? Yes. All right, cool. Then we can start to look at like, yeah, are you using hashtags? That's cool. That's one thing. But the fastest way that you're going to grow is actually by being reposted by somebody else, especially if that person has a large audience. And the two ways that you're going to get reposted is one, because you're being social, right? You're following other people, you're commenting on their stuff, you're creating and cultivating genuine relationships. And two, because you have content that's worth sharing. You hit the nail on the head. You said it earlier. And some people, I'm like, your stuff just isn't worth sharing. Part of what ties into that is, I believe, right, we're in the information age, which means that realistically, people could find a solution to their problem probably for free just by Googling. It's out there. Yeah. Everything's out there.
Totally.
What I believe people are looking for is someone who they trust to tell them that answer and to help them with that answer. And so if you're not showing up like that, they're going to go to find somebody else. If you're not showing up as a true leader, right? I don't like that they're called followers on Instagram, but if we're going to use that word, if you want someone to follow you, you have to lead. And to me, being a leader, the main thing is that you are willing to say, yeah, I said that. Yeah, I did that. You're willing to put yourself on the hook. And when people are posting things, it's just like anyone, but I call it being tofu. I don't know if you or your listeners or your viewers like tofu. I don't. But to me, tofu is like takes on the flavor of everything else. It's very bland. Right? If that's how you're posting, and I'm like, anyone could be posting that. Anyone could be saying that. No one's going to follow you. No one's going to choose that. So you need to show up. And it's not about being polarizing. I really don't like that word. It's about being you. How do you say this thing? What do you actually think about this? What do you believe? Why is that exercise your favorite? What is your personal experience with this approach, this exercise, whatever it is? Those are the biggest things to start off with, right? So we have being consistent to start off with, being social, and then being truly a leader. Those three things are the ones that are actually going to, I don't think you can expedite growth, but I think you can slow it down.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, you don't do those things, you're going to slow it down. I don't think there's like, oh, here's the hack to do it. But if you're doing this consistently, you will definitely see growth. And in terms of growth, it may not be pure numbers. It may be the quality of those people. And that will grow, as opposed to like, if you're not doing these things, you're definitely not going to be growing. Or if you do those hacks, remember, the longer it takes for something to grow, the harder it is to cut down. Something grows fast, something changes fast, it usually can go and revert very quickly. So people do these pods and these follower circles and things like that, and they may get followers quickly, but those people, then you get churn. Those people leave because they're not actually there for you. You've kind of stolen attention instead of earned it. So that's why it's like, yeah, you can do that if you want to just pump some of those vanity metrics and make yourself feel better. That's fine. And I understand like that there's like a feeling there. I get it. But if you truly want to pandemic proof, future proof your business, it's going to be by showing up authentically and building this truly genuine audience, which will take time, but that means it will also take a really long time for it to ever be broken or, dissolved.
Yeah. Such great points. I want to, I'd love to dive in. I think the social piece is what jumped out to me in when you first said it was, I just think of how many people jump into this because they want to get something instead of give something.
Yeah, you nailed it, Will.
And it's like, it's crazy, right? Like you're like, why did somebody give to you if you just want to get, like, if you don't even want to give to them? How do you help? So like, let's say someone comes in to your Instagram intensive, or they're like, Shanté, I love Instagram. I want my business to be like, I want to build my community and my audience around it. How do I go about giving? Like, how do I be a good social participant in this space? Facebook might be different. Maybe it's, I'm in a group and I'm like always posting in a group. Maybe it's, I just, I find someone's page and I like their stuff. How do you do it on Instagram in a way that, or you would teach to actually be authentic, to be kind, to be not just like, hey, I'm doing this so I get something from you. Like,
So the first thing, and one of the first things I do in my intensive is we figure out, or I ask the person, I have a drill we do to figure out their why. Why are you on Instagram? And it's not, I call it's the 5D drill. I stole it from Danny. Danny stole it from somewhere else. We're all just borrowing, right? And I ask the person, I'm like, what is your goal? All right. My goal is to be on Instagram to grow a following and help my business. Cool. Why do you want that? And they answer that. And then I ask them again, why do you want that? And we repeat that process 5 times. And typically, it takes a long time too for certain people, which is okay. Typically by the end of that 5th why, you get to something really deep. Like, so in my case, it's because I believe that everyone deserves happiness and I want to do whatever I can to help them create it. So that why, I have them printed out and put it on the wall. And I'm like, this is what you need to be looking at with your post. This is what you need to be looking at on the days that you take 3 hours to make a post and it gets 2 likes. Because this is why you're doing that post. You're not doing that post so that you can make money. Making money is not a bad thing. I want everyone to make money. Making money is great. I love making money. But if that's your why, because it's a very tangible ROI there, if it doesn't happen quickly, you're going to be like, well, screw this. I'm getting nothing out of this. So you go back to that why. And then as it looks like the actual tactics of being on social media, it's important that you're showing up and you're asking questions that you genuinely don't know the answer to. Right? You're just actually trying to find out, like, actually, how was your day? I'm not saying something I'm supposed to say it, like, because I genuinely want to know and I don't know the answer. So we do that with, your call to action in the captions. We do that so I love stories. I think it's the best part of the platform. We do it in your stories where you have the question box. I recommend starting off with polls. It's just easier for people kind of as an entry point there, where you're asking to learn more about them, where you go and you are sharing or commenting on other people's posts because you genuinely support them, not because you're like, oh, they might see me and then trying to steal attention, right? They might see me and then I'll get something out of it. You're like, no, I really just love what they said on that post. That was great. I love that post. I shared it because like, it's really, really good. Yeah. And from there you start to build and cultivate these relationships. And literally the rest takes care of itself because you've established that trust. You've established those friendships, whatever, that dynamic. Yeah. And then you just solve problems for them.
I would love to know, Shanté, because it's so spot. I love, and this is why I jive with you so well. It's just about being genuine. It's about actually finding a tribe that you want to be a part of, which by the way, Shanté, has like 9 bajillion followers, like 58,000 followers. She still replies to my DMs. Like, I'm shocked. I'm like, I can't even believe she checks her DMs. Like, if I had that many, I would just be like, I picture being overwhelmed, which brings me to one of my like last questions for you, which is do you have any cool stories of relationships that Instagram has created for you, like in quote unquote real life outside of Instagram? Because I think a lot of times we think, I just think of this,
absolutely.
Right? Like, I didn't even know Shanté. I didn't even know Jen Crane. I didn't even know Jen. So we got connected sort of originally through Jen. Jen was in our Facebook group. I had no idea about Jen. Jen all of a sudden pops up on one comment on a post and is like, well, I have a program that does this, and this, and here's what happened. And I was like, who is this person? Then I go to her Instagram and I'm like,
right. And then you're like, oh,
whoa, who is this? And
Oh,
then I start talking to Jen, and then I just shoot her a message like, Jen, thanks for commenting on our post. Like, I didn't know. I just saw your Instagram. Like, this is crazy. Like, what do you do? Like, I would love to like learn more about you. Then all of a sudden we're working together, get to know Jen. We talk. We still stay in touch. I talk to her like via Instagram all the time, and then it's like, you should talk to Shanté. I'm like, yeah, that'd be
wild,
awesome.
right?
And this weird little like, hey, I was just interested in you. I wanted to learn. Like, I reached out to her to just be like, what are you doing? Because like, whatever you're doing is awesome, and like, I just
Crushing.
want to learn. I want to know. Like, it's just really cool. I want to support you in any way I can. I love it. Got to learn about her mission, and then it leads to meeting people like you, Shanté. And it's just from genuinely being curious and
That's
interested.
it.
Are there
You
some
hit the nail on the
cool?
head.
Are there some cool things that like have ended up happening for you because of this
Dude,
work?
this whole entire life. So, just to kind of circle back to what you said, we attract what we are, not what we want. And you showed up and you show up authentically and you're a dope guy. And like, it's not surprising. The universe makes no mistakes. It's not surprising you end up with Jen and that, Jen and I are on the same wavelength there. Like we find each other at different times in life, but it's like we
Yeah.
attract what we are, not what we want. And if this is how you're showing up, you're going to get more of that. You will attract more of that. So literally every single person that I've met that I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool in real life. I've met them on Instagram. Any relationship that started in Instagram
Yeah.
has been remarkable. Again, I met Jen through that. Hosting my courses. I hosted my very first in-person course in New Zealand. I kicked my stuff off in New Zealand, not even in the US. And I hosted it there because of someone I met through friends that I met through Instagram. My in-person courses, when I was doing all my moving forward and all the locations, it was because of people I met through Instagram. Getting my rock tape job was because of I met Perry Nicholson through Instagram and formed this relationship and then met with him in person. My new business partner, Jill, I met her through Instagram through her dog because I posted her dog on Instagram and people were like, is that Jill Fit's dog? And I was like, I don't know who Jill Fit is. This is just a cute dog that goes to my gym. And lo and behold, she actually lives like 10 minutes away from me.
No
All
way.
people through social media. I think it's kind of like a bar, right?
Mm.
People give like a really bad, they're like, I would never meet someone at a bar. Meanwhile, they're at the bar saying this. And it's like, but you're there. Are you a bad person? Like, it's like you think that only terrible people are at the place that you're at.
Mhm.
That's how
Yeah,
I view
just
social
just
media
because
right
your
now.
mom's friend told you a story when you were 12 about
Exactly.
at the bar. Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
like, you're there and I hope you feel that you're a good person and you're there. It's no different with Instagram. Are there like shady characters and horrendous people on Instagram? Sure. But are there remarkable people on Instagram? Absolutely. Um, I'm looking to meet them all. That's my
Yeah.
goal.
Oh my gosh. Shanté, this has been awesome. I just want to recap real quick things that I learned, and hopefully this helps some people too. Number one, nothing can beat consistency and authenticity. Like number
That's
one
it.
from Shanté, be consistent, be authentic. You got to form a habit. I think sometimes we view social media as like some like playground. It's like, no, it can be a business tool
That's
if
it.
you use it as a habit, right? Like use it.
That's it.
Two is be social, like actually be a participant. You can't build a community and not be a community member, right? Like you have to be a community member. And then,
I love that. Well,
dude,
that's really good.
lastly, Shanté, just that, again, that you're awesome and that you are leading the way and helping people. And with that in mind, I would love to know. So Shanté, how often do you do, I'll just put it this way. What's coming up next for you? If people are like, Shanté, they're watching this, they are listening to this, they jive with you and they're like, I want to learn about how I actually take this to the next level. When's the next intensive? How do people sign up?
Yeah, best thing to do is one, find me on Instagram. But next, for what's coming up is my Instagram intensive. It's a 6-week group coaching program. Get on the wait list. You can do that via finding me on Instagram using the link in my bio. Get on the wait list because I probably will not sell that outward to the public because there's enough people on the wait list. It will probably get sold to those people. That's honestly how I prefer to sell. So get on the wait list. That will start in mid-October. So I'm going to open up doors actually very soon for that. And then I got something coming with Jill that we're going to be announcing on social media. So just keep an eye on that because we're not like disclosing full details for that yet. But if you just keep an eye on my stories, you'll be able to see that. So that's like probably the best ways to be working with me right now is like the Instagram intensive, which I consider it's not Instagram coaching, it's business coaching for Instagram. Or if you're looking for something a little bit more, then just keep an eye on my stories and we got something coming for you.
I'm super excited. By the way, to follow Shanté, it's at the Movement Maestro. I'll put a link to that and everything. And if you want, you can jump in with me because I'm on the wait list to get into the Instagram intensive. I'm just waiting for the email announcement or Instagram so I can like get my credit card in there and be like, come on, give me my spot. So I'm super excited. If you want to join, I'll be there. I'll be learning like every other student, just like, how do I do this? How do I make my like face pop better in these pictures? Like how do I use all these cool things? How do I make my head even rounder?
I was literally just going to say, I'm like, but your head's perfect. So don't worry about changing.
I want to get like but there's gotta be, Instagram has those cool filters. There's probably like a head rounder, like it like smooths the edges of like the crowns, like Jet's always cool. Like she's always got those cool, like 1920s Renaissance makeup type stuff going on. She's got all the cool stuff going on. So guys, go follow Shanté at the Movement Maestro on Instagram. I'll drop the link to that. Shanté, I know I've got to run. I know you got to run. I just want to say, it is always a pleasure to get to talk to you. You are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my man. 100% putting that right back to you. Thank you for everything you're doing, inviting me along. I love it. Look forward to the next time we chat.
Me too. I can't wait to see you in the Instagram intensive too, which obviously I've been talking to you before then, but like, I can't wait. I'm like literally excited. I haven't been so excited to learn something in a while. Like I love learning, and it's going to be like, it's a platform that I've had forever. I'm active on it. I'm just like a little lost puppy. Like
get more better. That's all. We can get more better.
Get more better. MOAR, by the way.
That's it.
Learn Shanté. Okay. Go follow her at the Movement Maestro. Shanté, I'll talk to you sometime this weekend or next week.
Sounds great. Well, thank you again.
You got it. Bye guys. Take care.